We've had an incredible day for card reveals in Riftbound. The quantity wasn't there, but the quality was there, absolutely. I'm super excited to talk about these cards. There was definitely some ups and downs for the day. I'll take you through the cards as we got them in order, so you have kind of a similar experience that we had as we were kind of just sitting around waiting for a card. The first card that we got of the day was Garbage Grabber, a 2 energy blue gear with recycle 3 from your trash, spend 1 energy, exhaust this card to draw 1. I think there are just way too many conditions on this card for it to realistically be good. It's cheap, so that's nice. It's cheap to set up, and it's theoretically quote-unquote passive card draw, but there's way too many conditions. We need 3 cards in our recycle. We need 3 cards in our trash, and we need 1 energy. We need to tap this card, meaning that we can't do it multiple times a turn. This is so restricted, and unless there's some crazy way to get cards into your trash outside of standard discard effects, I don't really expect this card to see the light of day. Even if there is some way that we can go out of our way to specifically put cards in our trash that doesn't involve discarding cards from our hand, I don't know if it's going to be worth the extra half of these conditions to be able to draw just 1 card. Plus, there's like a huge deck building restriction coming along with all of that, meaning that we need ways to put cards in our trash that isn't necessarily discarding to be able to fit in whatever engine is making that happen. That's a lot of deck slots all for this card that's drawing us a card. Imagine doing all of that for the payoff of discarding when I could just run the Jinx Legend, do all this discarding stuff in red purple, which have a lot more discard synergy, and just get free card draw every single turn. With that in mind, I think Garbage Grabber is probably the worst card of the reveal season so far. Now, of course, there could be context in the rest of the set that somehow makes this incredible, but on face value, this is probably the worst card we've seen in Riftbound. Maybe there's an argument for Undercover Agent, but even Undercover Agent, I think, has a higher ceiling than this card, contextually, with the cards that we have revealed to us right now. The next card is Shen. Now, originally this was revealed to us in Chinese. A Chinese content creator revealed the card, so we were able to get a little bit of a sneak preview at it. I am absolutely in love with this card. It's a 3 energy, 1 order card for 3 might. Shen Kinkyo. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce Kinkao, maybe? I'm not sure how to pronounce the second part of Shen's name there, but he has reaction, the first ever unit with reaction, meaning that you can play this during the opponent's turn. Very exciting. And he has shield 2, meaning while he's the defender, he has +2 might. And he also has tank, meaning that the opponent has to assign their combat damage to Shen first. This card is already, when we first got this card, I was like, wow, this card's nuts. This is going in some Leona build or maybe some set build or something like that. This card is going to find a home because it's like +5 to whatever defense is happening. Plus the card has tank. Like, so much is happening there. But even without the reaction, a 3 energy card, now granted it's costs 1 power, but a 3 energy card with 2 shield and tank, that's already like an incredible start. The reaction on top of that is just, this card is crazy. I don't know where it's going to necessarily find a home. My instinct is that this is a Leona card, and we also run Sona, which is another card we're going to see here later on, which happens to combo really well with Shen. Before we get into some more cards, I want to quickly show you the English version of Warwick has been revealed to us. We originally had Warwick translated from Chinese once he was revealed in the Arcane set back in the TFT Macau event. We now have the English version of that card. It's using the League of Legends splash art, and I think it looks really nice the way it pops out of the frame like that. I think it looks beautiful. And of course, his effect is as strong as it's ever been. We've been doing a lot of experimenting with Warwick since the early days. He works really well with Stormbringer, and he works really well with the new Misfortune signature spell, which is, wow, I'm actually forgetting the name of the card, and I love this card. The card was Bullet Time. The next card we got for the day was Eager Apprentice, and honestly, I guess you could say I was over eager about this card because when I first saw it, I was like, okay, wait, hold on. While I'm on a battlefield, the energy cost of spells you play is reduced by 1 to a minimum of 1. Surely that means if Eager Apprentice is on a battlefield and I conquer another battlefield with Kaisa, I can finally, as intended, cast Ecarthian Rain with the Kaisa Conquer effect. But that does not count because cards that refer to card cost is referring to the printed cost. So Kaisa cannot use Ecarthian Rain even if the cost of Ecarthian Rain is reduced, and the same thing is true for defying a card with a reduced cost. So let's say the opponent played a 5 cost spell and that 5 cost spell was reduced by 1, that card wouldn't be defiable because of its reduced cost, because defy is checking the printed cost value. With that said, I don't think there's enough support for Eager Apprentice just yet, but typically speaking in card games, this type of effect effect is going to be really strong eventually. It's also worth noting that, you know, the more of these you have on the board, the more cost reduction you're getting. So if you get, you know, if you get a crazy amount of these on the board, like 3 of these on the board, all of a sudden you're reducing spells by 3. If there's enough spells in the game, you're probably doing something really crazy. And even after quite a few card reveals, base is still a very safe place to be. So if these are just going in your base, you're giving up a lot of tempo in the early stages of the game, maybe it's worth it for some type of crazy control blue strategy. Now, we don't have enough of that right now, but there is a vision to be had there. Eager Apprentice is certainly nothing right now. This is not really a great card with the current card pool, but obviously this is the type of card that can get out of hand quite quickly. So one to keep an eye on, just not for any of your games you're having over the weekend while we wait for more card reveals. And this is my card of the day, by far, Sona Harmonious. Sona Harmonious is a 4 energy, 1 power card with 4 might. She reads, while I'm at a battlefield, ready 4 friendly runes at the end of your turn. Now, there's a few things to keep in mind about this. 1, it combos really well with Shen, because it sets up for your Shen, and you could even throw in like a Defy or something during that turn. So it's a really consistent way of protecting whatever battlefield that is, and protecting the Sona herself. I think this will be great for Ahri decks potentially as well. Something she can do on turn 2, she can set up Sona and then push a battlefield, and then on turn 3 she could like play the Ahri, and then going into the next turn she has a bunch of runes up to potentially protect that Ahri with, say, cards like Block or Stand United. Lots of interesting setup stuff to do during the opponent's turn now with Sona, which is super exciting. Another implication for this card that a lot of people haven't really necessarily talked about yet, and that is the ready for friendly runes. So that means in 2 versus 2 you could ready your teammates' runes as well as your own. And I believe you could split those up however much you like. You could ready 2 runes of your teammates, 2 runes of yours. You could ready 3 of theirs, 1 of yours, whatever you need at the time. And for that reason, I think Sona is going to be a big player, not just in 1 versus 1 and free-for-all, but also in 2 versus 2. The next card here is Eclipse Herald, a 7 energy, 1 power calm card with 7 might. And she reads, when you stun an enemy unit, ready me and give me +1 might this turn. So it's very Jinx coded, but instead of discarding, we're stunning. I think stunning is a more difficult condition to meet than discarding. And I also think that, or at least I think it will be, obviously we haven't seen all of the stun cards yet, but just kind of intuitively speaking, I imagine stunning is going to be more difficult to do than discarding. For that reason, Eclipse Herald is got a smaller ceiling than Jinx. She also has a smaller floor, and she's more expensive. I fully expect Eclipse Herald to be on the weaker end of cards here. I think this is a bit of a Timmy card, the type of card that you read and get really excited about, but I don't think that this is making the cut in optimized deck lists. And the last card we got for the day is Wildclaw Shaman, a 4 energy, 3 might card with when you play me, you may spend a buff to buff me and ready me. So the idea behind this card is you're basically taking a buff from one of your other cards to put it on Wildclaw Ursine, and then if you do that, you also get to ready the card. Theoretically, this is a great combo with Cythria, the card that was revealed a couple days ago. You play the Cythria on turn 1, on turn 2 you play Wildclaw Shaman gets readied, you get to push Wildclaw Shaman with a buff as well. Maybe you're playing Set and you would trade with something, well then you can use Set's ability to save the Wildclaw Shaman, and then maybe next turn do some stuff with like a bar or something like that, like the what is it called, the arena bar. There's things to do here that are quite interesting for those decks that are really buff centric. So for now, that's mostly going to be Set, but there's potentially Lee Sin in there as well. Maybe this makes the cut. I could definitely see this in Lee Sin, and I could definitely see this in Set. It just kind of really depends on what the rest of those decks are going to look like going forward. It's kind of hard to imagine what optimized deck lists for those characters are going to look like right now, mainly because we're lacking battlefields. It's really hard to get an idea of some of these newer legends, what their decks are going to look like, because we're working with, in some cases, even like 25% of the puzzle. So we're looking at an incomplete picture and trying to figure out where everything goes. But on paper, this card seems relatively good. If we're saying we can buff cards relatively consistently, having access to a card that can ready for this type of effect seems pretty good, especially in Set where we can save the card. If you compare it to, say, something like the Jinx Demolitionist legend, to have her enter ready, she has +2 might, but you're spending 2 additional power to make that happen. So obviously this needs a bit more setup than that card. Obviously Jinx has a higher ceiling, and I'd say that she's definitely the better card, but the fact that they're even in the same conversation, I think is kind of a good thing for Wildclaw Shaman here. Being able to push battlefields is a big deal, even if it's just to get a conquer point and then get out. Just stealing those early game points can be a massive deal, especially for the type of deck that Set is, going into a slower matchup where the opponent might be skipping turn 1 and then just playing a body on turn 2. You can get away with Sithria on turn 1, Stormclaw Shaman on turn 2, push the Shaman onto battlefield 1, push Sithria onto battlefield 2, and then next turn, you know, they've played their whatever unit it is, whether it's an Ari or a Leona or something like that, and then next turn you get your hold point. That's already 4 points. You bring those guys back to base. That's a great head start for the game, and doesn't necessarily mean you're going to run away with the game, but that tempo swing could be a massive deal for decks like Set, who can be quite hard to go over the top of in the later stage of the game, but don't necessarily have the best early game right now. Just a small note before I go, I wanted to mention that Shadowverse World Beyond is coming out relatively soon, which is a card game I'm going to be interested in checking out. I'll probably stream it on Twitch and YouTube just while I check out the initial stages of it. I don't know if I'll stick with it, but it's a game I've been interested in, and I'm quite excited to check it out when it comes out, because it's a game I always wanted to try back when, for those who don't know, Shadowverse World Beyond is more or less Shadowverse 2, and when Shadowverse 1 was around, I always wanted to try it, but never really felt like I could dive in because there was so much content, and I didn't want to jump into that game late, especially once I heard that Shadowverse 2 would be coming out, or in this case it's called Shadowverse World Beyond. I wanted to wait for that, so very eager to check it out over the weekend. I hope you join me. Thank you so much for watching. Keep being awesome, and I'll catch you in the next one.